Okay, everyone. Thanks again for joining the I Love Dentistry show. My name is Curtis Marshall, so with the co-host Rob Bay and the amazing Jen Butler. We have an exciting show about stress, how it happens within the dental office, and also how to relieve it. But we do want to thank our sponsors, which is Dental Intel, the leading provider of business intelligence for dentists nationwide that displays intelligence on a daily dashboard. That's Dental Intel. So it's been a little while. We had this little technical difficulties last time, but I think we're ready to go. Rob, as always, we have here, and then also Jen Butler. Jen, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thanks for having me on, Curtis and Rob. I really appreciate it. I was looking very much forward to today, and I'm glad our tech issues are all worked out. A little bit about me. I'm a 20-year veteran working around the area of stress management in a variety of industries. I landed in dentistry 4 to 5 years ago at this point and fell in love with dentistry. So I have written a plethora of articles around stress in dentistry. You can find me in multiple publications and at drbicuspid.com on a regular basis. I reside in Phoenix, and I work with dental professionals on reducing their stress, building their practices, and saving lives. So that's really where I focus on, and I love my work.
Well, we're going to have to ask you later if you really do save lives. I know you've shared a few examples of this in the past, but that's amazing. And Jen, we appreciate you spending time and coming on with us today. But Rob, let's shoot right up at the top. Why do dentists have stress? Why is there stress within the dental office?
Is this a question for me?
Yeah, I'm going straight to you.
All right. Well, I obviously look at it from a different perspective. Well, I shouldn't say obviously. I believe I may look at it from a different perspective than other people. I've had an opportunity to talk with lots of dentists, ask them about their situation, about where they are, where they want to be, and dentistry is a hard profession. It's physically demanding, it's emotionally demanding, it's mentally demanding, and the interesting thing about dentistry is you're in there working to perform services all day long, and then 5 o'clock comes along and your patients all walk out the door and you're left with, I own this place and I've spent all this time just performing services, now I need to do something about making my business successful. And there's not a lot of training or education to be able to help you to do that. Additionally, with dentists, I think one of the things that stresses out dentists is the fact of expectations. Expectations that they place on themselves, expectations that they have as a dentist should be this successful or should be at this point at this time, and you as a dentist, you see other people that are purporting to have a certain level of success, and you can't figure out why you're not at that level or you're not at where you think you should be. And I think expectations is a big aspect of it. So all of those things, I believe, a lot of that goes back to understanding and knowing how to make your practice successful and using data and information to be able to make decisions to progress yourself. That's obviously the way that I would look at it, being somebody that loves numbers and data and information. So that's what I would say. I'm not an expert in this area, like Jen is.
But what I gather, and I see Jen laughing, is that there's not just one answer, and that's kind of what I wanted to get to before we dive in with the expert Jen here, is that there are multiple reasons why there's stress within the office. It's not just because of staff. It's not just because of patients, overhead, expectations, whatever it might be. There's a lot of reasons. But let's dive into Jen. Jen, I know you speak with dentists all the time. Why are you seeing what's going on? Why is there so much stress?
Well, Rob was able to really hit a few nails on the head. So good job, Rob. Dentists are stressed for multiple reasons. There are 5 top stressors that statistically, research-based, that dentists are stressed by. One is time management. So Rob, that was the first one you mentioned, so great job. Your instincts are right on. Now, time management shows up in a variety of ways. For example, it could be that, just like what Rob was describing, the doc is busy in the ops all day long providing services, and so 5 o'clock rolls around, they're mentally drained, and now they need to spend time working on their business, the marketing, the running the reports, the statistics, the numbers, where are they at, where's their production to goal, their collections, posting insurance checks, if they have denial claims, doing the narratives, doing their charts. There's a lot of things that the doctor has to do, and then there's a lot of things that the business owner needs to do, and so it manifests in time management that way. It also shows up as a stressor if the doctor runs late, if they have if they see too many patients in a day, and also the antithesis if they have a slow schedule, that they have too much time on their hands, so they sit in their office and they just worry about where the patients are and what to do next, kind of thing. Sorry?
I was just saying playing Minecraft for some of them back in the day, or playing solitaire in their office rather than doing dentistry.
Exactly. So time pressures are the number one stressor in dentistry, but that manifests itself in a lot of different ways. Then we have patient demands. Then we have working with difficult patients. Then it's the focus, the level of focus and concentration that dentistry requires. What people don't think about or realize that dentists are doctors of the mouth that are doing procedures and surgeries every day. As a patient, we think that we go to a surgery center to have some outpatient procedures. But when I talk to the general public, when I talk to patients about what dentistry is about, those dentists are performing outpatient procedures right there in the dental office every day. They're just happening to be working on a tooth, which is another limb of our body. And when you describe it that way to patients, they're like, oh, I guess so. So the focus and concentration that a surgeon requires, dentists need to have. The mentality and the capacity and the stamina that a surgeon requires, dentists need to have. But they also need to have the bedside manner of a family practitioner. So they really need to be the perfect blend. And that stresses them out. And then the last thing is team drama. Team issues, being a leader, being a manager. It's right up there. It's number 5, but it's right up there. So that's why they get stressed. And it manifests itself in a variety of ways.
So Jen, I missed, I think, number 4, or maybe I misunderstood what it was. I got time management, patient demands, difficult patients, question mark, and last one was team drama. What was that number 4?
The requirement of focus and concentration.
Gotcha.
So the mental capacity or the mental requirement that dentistry has. It's astounding. We as patients, we have this innate understanding that, oh yes, surgery for surgeons must be very intense, must be very stressful, because we have to go to a special center to have that done. And yet, that's exactly what dentists are doing in their office every day. And as a general population, we don't afford dentists that same kind of credibility or same kind of, I call it honor, respect, of what other surgeons require, but they're doing the same thing. And that's stressful.
Yeah, I can see how that'd be stressful. Just myself that's how I got into dentistry, was working in a dental office, being a patient advocate. And I wasn't doing the surgery end of it, but I was doing the bedside, the patient side of it. And I enjoy smiling. At the end of the day, I was worn out just from interacting with patients. And that wasn't doing any surgery. That wasn't doing anything else. So I could see how stressful that could be. So Jen, what would you say the number 1? Because you're the go-to if a doctor office is stressed out. You're the go-to person. You are the one that people reach out to regarding that. What would you say is the number? I know you had those 5
right.
that you talked about, but would you say the number 1 issue is what?
For dentists to be stressed, or
that calls you. Yeah. The number one reason people call you.
The number one reason why people call me, because they don't know what to do. That's why they call me. They know they have stress. They're feeling overwhelmed. It's showing in their production numbers. It's showing in their collections. They are frustrated with their team. A lot of times they've hired a practice management consultant to come in and establish process and systems, or they've fired people. So they've done a lot of these external, outside of themselves solutions, and it hasn't worked. And so they call me throwing their hands up in the air going, I just don't know what to do anymore, but I know I can't live like this. I've had a lot of docs call me and say, you're my last ditch effort. If you can't help me, I'm quitting. I'm selling. I'm running away. I'm divorcing. I get emails and phone calls that if it doesn't get better, I'm taking my life. So 22.8% of dentists right now today listening to this is powerful to think about. So however many people are listening to this, or how many members you have subscribed to your I Love Dentistry show, 22.8% of them are in for sure burnout. That's an astounding number to think about. 86% of the people watching this right now have moderate to severe or severely profound stress levels. 86%. That is a statistical number that has been duplicated in multiple research studies. When we think about it that way, stress truly is such a pandemic in dentistry. That's why I so thank you so much for helping me bring this to the forefront.
Well, good. I love that answer you gave too at the beginning. By the way, those numbers are crazy. Thanks for sharing those with us. And I think that anybody who is in any of those percentages could really benefit from Jen or just from understanding why they're stressed out. Absolutely. But that answer you gave, I thought was really interesting, and I saw Rob smile for your answer of why people call because they don't know why they're stressed out.
Mm-hmm.
Rob, why did you smile so big when she said that?
Well, yeah, I think she's right. I mean, that people don't know, they're stressed out and they want to try all these different tools, or I'm going to, let me back up for a minute. In general, when it relates to attribution, human nature is to, when things are great or things are awesome for ourselves, it's because I'm good. I'm really good at what I do. It's all because of me. It's what I've done. It's my hard work. It's my intelligence. It's my everything, right? If somebody else is successful, what human nature is to attribute that. So we're successful, we attribute it internally. If somebody else is successful, we attribute it externally. Right place, right time, circumstances, somebody they knew, whatever. So on the flip side, if bad things happen to somebody else, we attribute to that to them personally. It's because they're not as smart, it's because they're an idiot, it's because whatever reason. But when bad things happen to us, we attribute those things externally.
Mm-hmm.
And it's somebody else's fault, some other reason. And so when she said that about dentists, I mean, that's the natural inclination of people, is to try to see what is going on around me, what other things other than me. Obviously, it's not me. It's something else of why I'm having this problem, of where dentists look. One thing that I also found really interesting was the 22.8% of burnout, and I'm honestly really surprised it's not a higher number than that. There in dentistry, that there is one predominant trend, and that is it is flatline in terms of results. And the one trend that goes along with that, is a steady increase in the amount of effort and energy it takes to be able to get that normalized, flat return in terms of production and profits. And so when that happens over a period of time, dentists get sick of it. I mean, I have to work harder and harder and harder to get the exact same result. Mm-hmm. And so I'm surprised that greater than 22.8% of the dentists aren't in that mode of burnout.
Well, can I
Yeah,
just,
go ahead.
so that 22.8%, those are dentists right now currently watching this or working, or that's the current number. The other number that is astounding is, and it's either 34 or 36. I like to be accurate when I quote studies and stats, so it's one of the two. They are in certain burnout. So they're not to burnout yet. They're the one step above. It can happen any moment, any day. But so that's an addition to. So, and we're talking about burnout. We're not talking about, oh, I feel stressed. We're talking about components of depression, completely total disengagement, sitting in their office, hate getting up and going to the work in the morning, feeling out of control. So the number is a lot higher, but
Gotcha.
Those are the two different stats.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you. I believe that. I mean, and that's greater than 50% of dentists when you add those two together. I mean, it's right at, or really close to. No, that is above. Yep, I can add.
You can add.
22.8 plus either way, 34 to 36, that's over 50%. Yep.
Plus the 22.8, yes. So yeah, there you go. Carry the one.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we got a pretty good understanding of why, and ultimately there's a lot of different factors, but most importantly, the reason why we're stressed out is because we don't know how to fix whatever's struggling, whatever's wrong within the practice or with ourselves. So let's jump on to the next part, is how to relieve this. So out of those 50% plus dentists out there who are either thrown in the towel or pretty close to thrown in the towel, what is it? How are they going to be able to pinpoint what's wrong so that they can get that stress out of their life? What is this? Who wants to go first?
I'll thumb wrestle him.
Jen, why don't you go ahead and give us a shot at this?
Well, there's a couple things. First of all, Rob is absolutely right when he was talking about the law of attribution. You know, when things go right, we say, it's me, look at how great I am, pat on the back. When things don't go well, when we have bad days, or when our business is floundering, practices are flatlined, we blame everybody else. And that's one of the reasons why dentists continue to perpetuate their stress response. I have a mantra. I say this every day, and I say this to every client or every person I come into contact with, is you can't change what you don't acknowledge. And it's in direct correlation to that law of attribution, is that when you fully interrogate your own reality, when you face facts, when you get into the thick of it and look at the evidence of what to either support and negate the story you're telling yourself. Like, I'm doing great this month. My production numbers are up, and I see 50 new patients a month. I actually had this from a doc who called me. And when we pulled some reports and we got into the reality, he was seeing less than half new patients per month, and his production was actually less year over year and month over month. He just wasn't aware. We can't change what we don't acknowledge. So that's the first thing to really take in, and then start making a list of, what stories do I tell myself? Where do I tell myself that I'm really great and doing really well and I have no issues? And then make a list of, what are the things that I tell myself that I'm failing at, I'm floundering, they're not working, and then go and check the facts. Because both are really important to understand. So you can't change what you don't acknowledge, interrogate reality, and then take a really long, deep breath. Truly, it's the number one way to relieve stress, is breathing, especially in dentistry. Biologically, psychologically, and physiologically. When we are stressed, our body starts to shallow breathe, and we take in less oxygen. Also, we don't reduce all of our carbon dioxide. So retaining that carbon dioxide, it impacts our way in which we critically think. So that's biologically. For dental professionals, they sit so much during the day hunched over like this. They're compressing their diaphragm. So they can't really take any deep breath. That's why so many docs go, or hygienists will say to me, oh, that's why when I stand up or sit up, I take in a really. So I always tell people 5 seconds in through the nose, 10 seconds in out the mouth. That is the way we should be breathing. And stop sucking your gut in. You know, let your belly hang out, who cares, and allow your full diaphragm to expand and take in a deep breath. So those are 3 great places to start on relieving your stress.
I always thought nitrous was the way to relieve stress, but I guess breathing a little bit better.
I would call that a maladaptive coping method that perpetuates your stress response, but I know docs that use it.
Okay, well, that's probably not a good idea, or at least to make it a habit of anyway. So, Jen, those are some really great points that you showed there, and I can just see it. You're wanting to tell so many stories there. But before we jump into that, Rob, how, just with your knowledge of working with dentists and also human interaction, those 3 things that she mentioned there, is it as simple as that, I guess, is what I want to ask. Is it as simple as 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, I mean, I love what Jen said. I mean, you can't change what you don't acknowledge, and making the list of things that you're good at and things where maybe you have some shortfalls, or doing that type of inventory. And I mean, I obviously look at things. I'm not necessarily about, I'm probably never the kind of person that says take a deep breath in and a deep breath out, although I really agree with that as well. I look at things from a different perspective, and when we say, well, you can't change things that you don't acknowledge, first you gotta, in order to acknowledge it, you gotta even understand it. And that's why I think numbers are so valuable. Some things you can't necessarily quantify with numbers, but there's some things that you can, and a lot of those stresses become from, I really believe, from the overall performance of the practice. And we're talking about there the things that Jen was saying before with time management, you know, the focus and concentration. You know, a lot of that comes out even in the team drama. But if you know and understand what's going on, then you're forced to acknowledge it. Because you're looking at things numerically, and that also will really help you in helping you to determine the things, in putting together that inventory in terms of the things that you're doing well at and things maybe you need some help with.
Yeah. How do you do that, Jen?
I'm sorry?
Well, I was just gonna, feel free to finish what you're gonna say, but I was gonna ask you is how do we do that? How do we find out what to acknowledge?
So 2 things. I want to piggyback on what Rob said and then remind me about what the question is because I might forget. You know, one of the things that I want to make very clear to everybody is, you know, stress is all about our perception. Stress is not external, and it's not our numbers, it's not the business, it's not the team, it's not outside of us. Stress is a biological interpretation of our perception and filter of the world around us. That's what stress is. And we can have the best numbers, we can have the best office, we can have the best team, we can have the best of the best, and still dentists will have that weight of stress because there are 3 different kinds of stress that I want to make clear that I just want to make clear that people understand. One is situational stress, which is what most people, and actually what we are really focusing on this call, is identifying situational stress. Those are those daily activities and life events that trigger our stress response. So whether it be production, a patient, difficult patients, whether it be a team member, going to a conference, whatever. So situational stress, and most of the stress that people have is situational. But the other significant type of stress in dentistry that, Rob, you were saying, you know, not everything is quantifiable, and you're right. But the other significant type of stress in dentistry is psychological stress. This is where we have the issue of perfectionism. This is where low self-esteem, low self-confidence, this is where fear and guilt, regret, worry come into place. And you were talking about how dentists want to live up to expectations. And that stresses them out when they don't live up to those expectations. Psychological stress starts in dental school. Actually, it starts even before that. Because even to get into dental school, expectations are set upon the dentist to get in, and then when they get in, they want to be the top of their class, and their instructors are always there, talking in millimeters of perfection. So the situational stress, much more quantifiable, acknowledgement, but the one thing that I do want to bring to the forefront here is that psychological stress, it is equally as powerful, and you can feel the weight of that just as much of your situational. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to mention that.
What's number 3? So we got
number 3, the third one.
Situational, psychological. And you said 3 things, and I want all 3.
So it's situational, psychological, and physiological. Which physiological stress there. Oh, we could have, I teach a whole day workshop on this. So I'm going to condense it down in just brief sentences for you. Situational stress is the most common type of stress we have in our lives, just the general public, not just dentistry. Psychological stress is the hardest type of stress to overcome yourself because of what's called the theory of self-deception. It's that we don't know what we don't know. We can't challenge our own box. Our brain doesn't work that way. We need someone else to challenge us, someone else to mirror back to us what we're doing and ask us the right questions to help have a paradigm shift or to see things in a different way. I work a lot with docs around that. Docs are fix-it people. They typically can fix the situational stress pretty well. But then they question, well, I fixed all this other stuff that was stressing me out. Why am I still stressed? And it's because they haven't addressed the psychological stress. The third one is physiological stress, which is the type of stress that is related to health and is typically physiological stress are typically those things that we do as coping methods to deal with our other kinds of stress. So it's almost always health related. It's the hardest stress to overcome, where psychological is the hardest to recognize and situational is the most common. That's because physiological stressors are smoking, drinking, excessive exercise, those things that we use to relax and get over our day and calm our nerves. That's actually a different kind of stress. So we're changing one stress or one stressor for another. And again, that's important to recognize because when dentists say, well, I've done A, B, and C to deal with my stress, to relieve my stress, and I'm still stressed, it's because what they're doing is an ineffective coping method to reduce their stress. Now, I'm not saying you have to quit smoking or you have to stop drinking or you have to stop gaming or exercising. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that how you're doing it or what you're using to cope with your stress is not an effective means to reduce it.
Interesting. So you're telling me when you get those stress relievers, the nights out or the weekends, or would that even include vacations?
Well, again, it's for the purpose. I'm a huge proponent of go blow off steam. Go be wild, Go to Vegas, go on those vacations. Do whatever it is that you do that you enjoy. Just know that that might not be the key to reducing your stress. You have to have effective coping methods to reduce stress. So working all week, building your stress response where it's so triggered, you peak on Friday or Saturday night where you either sit on the couch, watch sports all weekend, or go out and have a wild night, drinking, partying, whatever that is, staying up all night, gaming all night, whatever that filler is for you, then you get up Monday morning to do it all over again. That might feel good in the short term because we're able to leave behind what our week was like, but it doesn't help us reduce our stress and manage our stress. It's a temporary fix.
Sorry, I had to step off there for a second. Somebody was buzzing me. Rob, I guess there's no more crazy weekends for you coming up. That's not going to help your stress.
Yeah, that's not what I would use from a physiological standpoint, anyways.
I know.
That's not me.
I want people to do that and use effective coping methods to reduce their stress. I want you to have both. I want you to have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah, so Rob, you can go do a canyoneering. How about that? Go canyoneering, and then the other thing as well.
I saw a bumper sticker, Curtis, that I want to get that reminds me of that. Jen, you don't. We just really have met, but I like doing some things that some people would consider to be crazy. And the bumper sticker I saw, though, Curtis, says, "My best vacation is your worst nightmare."
You're the adrenaline junkie, huh? I'm suspecting.
Maybe a little bit.
Deep diving.
So Jen, ultimately here, I guess there's not a real clear-cut answer. I'm trying to think if there is one. Is there a way? Is there a one thing? I guess I know I've just answered it. Is there one thing to do to relieve stress within you? Is there something that we can just do, or something that we can just fix? Is there one thing? First, I'll say that, and then I'll follow up.
Okay, so I wish there was. We are not in the matrix. It's not a red pill and a blue pill. It's just not. If stress was easy, the CDC and the World Health Organization would not declare stress one of the worst epidemics of our current century. You know, of the 10 leading causes of death, stress is directly linked to 9 of them. Stress management isn't easy.
Okay.
Your stress, my stress, Rob's stress, how we manage it, how we relieve it, what we do with it, what triggers it, it's all different. I will tell you, though, that there are 4 ways in which universally will help relieve stress in the moment. So breathing is the number 1. It is. Everyone just needs to take a breath. Deep in, deep out. Come on, Rob, I know you can do it with me. So that's number 1. That's right. Let's all breathe. And I can go through all of the science behind that, the biology and the physiology of why that is the number 1 stress relieving tool and tip I can give you, but that would probably bore half the people here, except for the doctors. They probably would love that. The second thing is to thread in more humor. Science, again, I'm a science-based, biology-based type of stress management coach. There are 2 approaches to stress management. One is called mindfulness. The other is called cognitive-based therapy. I have a tendency to land more on the CBT side, threading in some of the mindfulness. So if people Google those or look into those, that will make more sense. But humor, scientifically, is an incredible way to reduce stress. So these are things that I do in my daily life. Just because I'm a stress management geek doesn't mean that I don't have stress. But when I am feeling that I'm feeling that weight of stress, if I want to go eat a package of Oreo cookies, I know it's time for me to stop and watch some funny YouTube videos about cats and dogs that need to take naps, or watch or read a funny blog, or to take a minute and call a friend of mine or my son who makes me laugh no matter what kind of mood I'm in. There are easy ways to thread humor into a practice. I write about this. I've written articles on how to thread humor into your practice. It's at my website. It's a column I wrote. And you can get, those, especially now, 2015 is coming up, those pull-off calendars. You know, they're jokes.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're called. But put one of those in the lobby, in every operatory, in the back. Sign up for Joke of the Day on your mobile device. Follow the comedians on Twitter so that you can see, I mean, Jimmy Fallon just makes me gut-wrenched, teary-eyed, and so I like to follow him on Twitter and on Facebook. So thread more humor. In your office, don't play dramas. If you have TVs, don't play dramas. Don't do that. It just increases our intensity, our emotions. Play comedies. Buy the old classics. Three Stooges, I Love Lucy, Bill Cosby. Get some funny 2-hour-long HBO specials, comedians like Bill Cosby or Ellen DeGeneres, the clean ones that are more family-oriented. Play those. You know, the dental office doesn't have to be serious and intense. Lighten the mood. Okay, so breathing, humor, and self-reflection. And by that I mean just giving yourself a few minutes to think about the good things in your day. Think about the things that you like to do. What did you accomplish? It doesn't have to be a full-on kind of meditative moment. You could be, I'm very honest and open with my docs. You know, it could be while you're sitting down, going to the bathroom. You can take those few moments of self-reflection and just think about what good you did in the day. Too often we focus on what we didn't achieve.
Hey Jen, one of the things that when we were talking about the ways to solve it, one of the things that I wrote down, these are my notes from what we've had so far, and maybe you could see right there. Gratitude in my awesome handwriting.
Right.
Gratitude, but
Yes.
that's one of the things that we do in our family. We have a gratitude journal,
Yes.
and where we just write, "I'm grateful for," and that is something that is excellent in helping to reduce stress. But it's right along exactly what you're talking about. Self-reflect on the positive things that have happened.
On the positive, and you're absolutely right. And another thing to piggyback on that, the gratitude board, I love that. A lot of people say a gratitude journal. In my experience working with docs, you know, it's difficult sometimes to bring in some more alternative or mindfulness type methods because they're so analytical or they're so scientific and biology-based type thinkers. Like you said earlier, Rob, they want to know the why, you know, the why behind things. That's really important for them to understand. So taking those few moments of self-reflection, gratitude. If you don't want to do a gratitude journal, one of my favorite things to do in an office is buy Post-it notes. I know it's not very recycle friendly, but buy Post-it notes, and with the team during huddle every morning is everyone writes on a Post-it note what they're grateful for that day, right in huddle, and then they start posting it around the office or the lounge. Or one of my clients actually was brave enough to post it out in the lobby, and they had a stack of Post-it notes, and they encouraged their patients. It was a gratitude board. They called it something fun, but basically it was a gratitude board where people were just posting Post-it notes about what they were grateful for that day. And it was so powerful. It really was so powerful. But I want to give you that fourth one real quick.
Okay.
The fourth one is kind of almost along the same lines, Robert, what you're talking about, a gratitude journal or a gratitude board is too often docs get caught up in the to-do list. They make lists and lists and lists of all the things they need to do, their office managers need to do, their assistants, everyone needs to do. That is overwhelming. That will trigger your stress response for anybody. So instead of the to-do list, or have a to-do list, but don't post it publicly. Keep it in your calendar or keep it in your phone. Keep it in an app. Go to Wunderlist.com, which is a great free app that you can use to track all the things you need to do. Keep your to-do list private. Keep the Honey Done list public. Write down all the things that you got accomplished that day. That helps you see, well, you really did have a productive day. You really did make a difference in the world. You really got out of bed for a purpose and you achieved your purpose. But the Honey Done list or the Honey-Do list or whatever you want to call it, the Dental Done list, much more effective. And it helps with that time management, that stress of time management, which is the #1 stressor.
Huh. That's interesting. So what to keep private and what to put publicly basically is your publicly announce what you do well, and privately so you don't get what's it called, discouraged from not completing the to-do list if you don't post it publicly, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And when you post the to-do list publicly in a dental office, like I've seen offices where they have the to-do list listed under each position or under each person. You know, depending on how many crossing off or how many check marks people have, others get to judge them about what they're not getting done, what they're not doing. And that just elicits that emotion of, I'm not good enough, I'm not doing enough. And then it really separates the team, as opposed to that done list. We get to celebrate each other as team members or family members. It works great in families, but any kind of group or tribe. But we get to celebrate our successes. We get to high-five each other. We get to inspire and motivate each other. We get to feel good about, this is what I did today. And even though it might only be one thing that we got done, it might have been the hardest thing. It might be eat that frog kind of moment. I love that book. But eat that frog kind of moment, whereas it was the hardest thing I did, but I got that one thing done. And I feel so good about it, and everyone else can pat me on the back and share and celebrate with me. And so it's a paradigm shift. And biologically, it will also reduce how often your stress response is triggered.
Well, a lot of the things you're saying, Jen, are great, and I love them. But I know that Rob is definitely more of an analytical number. Well, he's the number geek, right?
Yeah.
The sunshine and rainbows doesn't necessarily always isn't always his forte. Rob, what do you think about this? I love it. This is what I feed off of. Everything that Jen's talking about today is right up my alley. But how is it on a numbers guy, not somebody who's wants to see the proof in the numbers, wants to see the results in the numbers? How does what Jen's been saying resound with you?
Well, these things that she's talking about are proven out in numbers. There have been countless studies as it relates to stress, or as it relates to burnout, or the things that attribute to it, or things that can help remedy it. And so they do come out in numbers. And so although you can't necessarily look at and quantify stress, or put a number to it, the remedies and the things that cause it and the things that can help solve it are all things that are quantifiable. And so because of that, I appreciate it.
I knew you'd tie it back somehow. I wasn't sure how you were going to do it.
Rob is absolutely right, and I'm so glad you said that. I can give you lots of stats and personal testimonials from my clients, docs that put their name out saying, I've worked with Jen and here are my results. On average, just by talking about and reducing stress, my clients will see an increase in $10,000 to $15,000 in production within the first 4 to 6 weeks of starting to just deal with their stress. Because it's amazing how much weight we feel and how disengaged we are and what our body language says when we're under stress. When we feel better, when we don't have that heavy weight and we can really focus with our patients, case acceptance goes up. Docs will watch a lot of treatment. They'll watch teeth. They'll watch things because they just don't have the energy to perform the procedure that day, so they'll put a watch on it. Well, when they're not stressed, when they have more energy, they're like, oh, hey, let's get that done today. So production goes up. The team is more engaged. So there are absolutely quantifiable numbers that go with both docs that are stressed and docs that are not stressed.
Awesome.
Hey, Curtis.
Yeah.
I've got to let you two, you guys wrap up. I've got to go catch a flight. But hey, Jen, I really appreciated our conversation and learning some of these things. I took some notes down here, and thank you very much.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Curtis. We'll see you.
Have a good flight, Rob. So So Jen, what do you want to leave? What is the, hey, doctors out there, dental offices out there, when you're thinking about stress or when it relates to stress, this is what I want to make sure you understand and know. This is my,
Mm,
I hope you at least got X.
okay.
What would that be?
Do I need to do this when I say
No,
it?
no.
I hope that they are walking away with they're not alone. You know, doctors are fix-it people. And so this concept of I'm just stressed, you know, I just feel guilty or I just feel weighted down. I can fix that. I'm a doctor, I fix people. I can fix this. That mentality perpetuates their stress, their stress levels. It just perpetuates it. So I want them to know you are not alone. 86% of your professions, your colleagues, feel the exact same way you do. Unfortunately, the nomenclature within the dental industry, because they're doctors, because they don't want to lead with, you know, my practice, I'm about to go under. They don't want to lead with their negativity. They don't want anyone to really know what's going on behind those closed doors. It's difficult for doctors to be vulnerable with other doctors because they almost come with a sense of bravado. They just don't want anybody to know their true story. So when you start to share with others really what's going on, and at study clubs, on message boards, underneath a anonymous name. I mean, just start putting it out there to somebody. Your study clubs, your alumni group, whatever it is, just start putting it out there to the world about where you're at with your stressors. Start talking, because if you have tried different things already, if you've hired the consultant, or if you've seen a therapist, or if you've read books and if you've taken webinar, if you've done things already and you still feel stressed, weighted down, it's time to start doing something else. Now, I invite anyone listening to this to reach out to me as well, via email, phone call. I don't charge for phone calls and emails. I don't. I would rather the docs get the information that they need so that they can stop feeling weighted down and really stressed out. I would rather just give them the information. So walking away with, you're not alone, and just start talking to people. I know it's hard. It can be hard, but tell your family. Tell anybody.
I think that's our key and that kind of circles back to what we talked about before, which is the reality, the perception of reality and reality, the difference between the two.
Mm-hmm.
And Jen, you gave us so much good stuff. Her name and number, if you're on the blog, is just right up above here. Otherwise, feel free to look up Jen Butler Inc. Right? Or Jen Butler Coaching.
Yeah, my website's Jen Butler Coaching. I'm switching over, as with most businesses. I'm going through a rebrand. But currently my website's www.jenbutlercoaching.com. But soon to be Jen Butler Inc. Yes.
Awesome. So feel free to reach out to her. She's amazing. Good friend of ours over here, and great information. I mean, we got how many lists? We got tons of great tips and information today, and related it both back to numbers, back to reality. And so I hope doctors were able to. I hope you rewind. I hope you rewind and rewatch some of these things. So with that being said, though, dentistry is amazing, and unfortunately, even though it is amazing, some of us are stressed out there. Let's make it back. I think I'm going to start off with saying why I love dentistry to end, and then I'll finish up with Jen. But the reason why I love dentistry is because we have people like Jen out there who truly care, who want to help, who have good information to give our doctors. And so that's why I love it. These experts that we have on, that is one reason why I truly love dentistry. Jen, yourself, why do you love dentistry as a sign-off?
Well, thank you. That just really made me smile big when you said that. I love dentistry, almost very similar answer that you just gave. I love the people in dentistry. Dentistry, you have got to want it. You know, it's not going to be easy for you. 75% of American population has some sort of dental fear. So if anyone picks, yeah, me too. I started that way too. I'm better now, but you know, so when someone chooses dentistry, they're choosing to work with a high fear group of population. So you have to be committed, you have to be loyal, you have to be a risk taker, you have to be willing to go all in and connect with your patients. And that type of person that works in dentistry has all of those things. They're the most loyal, come from heart kind of person. And that's why I love dentistry. It's because of the people that are in it.
That's awesome. Well, Jen, you've been great. Our members out there, I hope you really enjoyed this. Feel free to share it with your clients out there. Keep it up. Whether you love it or whether you're trying to love it back again, dentistry is amazing. It's the best industry to be in 2014 and in the future. But I'm Curtis Marshall. Unfortunately, my co-host Rob Bay had to take off, but we also had the wonderful Jen Butler with us, and we hope you have a great day and finish out the year 2014 with a bang. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.